The twin suns of Elisera burned bright in the black sky, painting the colony in gold and silver. From orbit, the planet looked alive, full of glimmering cities, vast factories, and endless fields of solar farms. Humanity had settled here just 50 years ago, and already their presence reshaped the world. Skyscrapers reached for the clouds, spaceports hummed with activity, and mining stations drained resources from the outer moons. Dr. Mara Keene floated in the observation deck of the Orion research station, her eyes fixed on the largest sun in their system. Normally it was steady and bright, a constant source of life. But today something was wrong. A small unusual flicker crossed its surface, almost invisible to the naked eye. Mara leaned closer, adjusting the instruments. "No, it shouldn't be doing that," she whispered. Her assistant Ravi glanced up from his console. "Doing what, Dr. Keene?" Mara shook her head. "It's dimming. Very slightly, but steadily. And it's not natural. Not at this stage of a star's life," Ravi frowned. "You mean the sun is dying?" "No, not dying, but reacting," Mara replied. "Something is wrong with the balance of energy in our sector, and I fear it might be because of us." They were silent for a moment, the hum of the station filling the void between words. Outside, the suns blazed as if mocking their concern. Mara typed quickly, scanning readings from neighboring systems. Her heart sank as she realized the truth. Other stars, some hundreds of light years away, showed the same subtle dimming. "Ravi, these aren't isolated incidents. The stars themselves are responding. Something, or someone, is draining their stability." Ravi's eyes widened. "Are you saying it's humans?" Mara nodded grimly. "We've overexploited everything. Planets, moons, energy grids, and we don't know how far the effects can spread. But I fear it's already happening." Mara's warnings were not new. For years she had written reports, sent memos, and tried to convince the Council that human expansion needed limits. But every time she presented her findings, the reply was the same. "There's nothing to worry about. Humanity will find a solution. Keep producing energy." The Colony Council, focused on profit and growth, could not care less about distant warnings. To them, stars were infinite, resources were endless, and Mara was merely a cautious scientist prone to alarmism. That evening, Mara attended a council meeting. The grand hall of Elisera was filled with officials in shimmering uniforms, representing various sectors of industry and government. Holoscreens floated in the air, showing mining reports, production quotas, and trade agreements. "Dr. Keene," Councillor Vorin said as she entered, "we appreciate your enthusiasm, but we have more pressing matters. Solar output is up 7% this quarter. Expansion is on schedule. The sector is thriving." Mara took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Councillor Vorin, thriving for now, yes. But the suns are warning us. I've observed flickers and dimming in multiple systems. If we continue to drain planetary energy and manipulate stellar outputs, we risk destabilizing the stars themselves. Entire star systems could go dark." A murmur ran through the council. Vorin raised a hand. "That's highly speculative. Do you have proof?" Mara nodded, showing readings and holographic simulations. "Look here. The star of the Velara system showed a drop in luminosity last month. The solar winds are inconsistent, the energy balance is off. If left unchecked, these systems could collapse. And it will spread," Councillor Kalin chuckled. "Dr. Keene, humanity has been mining, colonizing, and terraforming for centuries. Stars have never reacted to our activities before. This is fear-mongering. You are asking us to halt progress because of a theory." Mara clenched her fists. "It's not a theory. There is an ancient race, the Vailari, who inhabited this sector long before humans. Their records show they ignored warnings like these, and their entire cluster went dark. Planets frozen, suns silent. The universe is not infinite. It responds to balance." Vorin shook her head. "Legends are not science. Your warnings are noted, but we will continue our work." Dismissed. Mara left the hall, her heart heavy. Outside, the suns burned, unknowing, unfeeling. Yet she could sense something shifting in their light. A silent message warning those who would listen. That night, Mara returned to the observatory. Ravi had stayed behind, watching the main console. "Something happened today," he said quietly. "When the council refused to act, I think the first sun went darker." Mara frowned. "Check the sensors." Ravi tapped on the interface. The readings confirmed her fear. One small sun in a neighboring human-controlled system had flickered into partial darkness, just for an hour, before returning to near normal. But the anomaly was growing. They didn't even see it, Mara whispered. And by ignoring the warning, they risk everything. Every world. Every sun, and now, it's too late to stop the chain reaction from starting. Ravi swallowed. Do you think other colonies know? Not yet, Mara said. And they won't until it's too late. That's why we need to act, alone if we have to. The next day, Mara received an encrypted message from an unknown source. The sender was Leora, a Velari envoy who had survived in secret after her people's extinction. Her words were simple but chilling. Humans follow the path of ruin. Sons die where greed blinds the mind. You see the flickers. You know the warnings. Do not ignore them. Mara's hands trembled. Finally, someone else understood. She replied quickly, arranging a meeting in a remote sector. Hours later, she met Leora in the shadow of a dormant asteroid station. The Velari looked fragile but strong in a strange ethereal way. Her eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the dim suns above. You've seen the signs? Leora said softly. Our people once ignored them. Entire systems went silent. Now, humans do the same. Mara nodded. I tried to warn the council. They refused. They don't believe it until it's too late. But how can we stop it? Leora's gaze swept over the distant stars. You cannot stop it entirely. Balance must be restored. But some systems, some suns can be saved. If humans are willing to change, if they are willing to learn. Mara swallowed. Change, humanity's greed and pride? It feels impossible. Impossible is only for those who refuse to try, Leora said. You are not like the others. You listen, you care. But time is short. The flickers are spreading. If you do nothing, even your own sons may go silent. Mara's mind raced. She thought of the thriving cities below, the bustling colonies orbiting every sun, the billions of lives depending on stable stars. She realized the truth. Humans were on the brink of cosmic disaster, and she had to act alone if necessary. Over the next days, Mara and Leora began gathering data, studying the interactions between human energy grids and stellar reactions. They discovered that massive mining operations and energy manipulation created a subtle but cumulative strain on the stars. The more humans expanded, the more unstable the solar cores became. Even distant suns were affected. Mara recorded her findings in a secure terminal. She would share them when the time came. For now, she and Leora had to work in secret. Humanity's leaders were too blind, too stubborn to recognize the signs. And then, it happened. A signal from a distant observation station came in. The sun of the Aurelia system, a small but vital colony hub, had dimmed significantly. Its light flickered and waned over several minutes, casting panic among the local population. Communications returned only after the sun's glow stabilized, but the message was clear. The warnings were real, and the universe was responding. Mara looked out at the twin suns of Elisara once more. They burned brightly now, but for how long? She felt a chill as she realized that no amount of technology could stop what came if humans continued to ignore the balance of life in the cosmos. We've seen the first signs, she whispered to Leora. This is only the beginning, and if the council doesn't listen, even our sons may go silent next. Leora placed a hand on Mara's shoulder. Then we will make them listen, one way or another, and with that a silent pact was made. The warnings had been ignored for too long. The stars were speaking. Now it was up to humanity to hear and act before the silence consumed everything. The fading light of Elisara's twin suns bathed the planet in a soft golden glow, but the warmth felt fragile, like a warning. Dr. Mara Keen worked tirelessly in the Orion research station, analyzing data that no one else seemed to take seriously. Each flicker in the nearby stars, each slight dimming was a message written in the light itself. Ravi, her young assistant, hovered over the console, his face pale with worry. Dr. Keen, there's another one. Another sun. In the Velara cluster. Mara's heart sank. The Velara system had been a thriving human outpost, a hub for trade and exploration. Show me, she said quietly. The holographic display lit up, showing the sun's steady glow interrupted by an eerie dimming. It's subtle but consistent, Mara explained. And it's moving outward. It's like a wave spreading across the stars. Ravi swallowed hard. A wave? You mean the other suns will go dark too? Mara nodded grimly. If humanity continues its reckless expansion, yes. The warnings were ignored. Now the universe is responding. That evening, Mara received a strange signal on an old, secure frequency, a signal that didn't match any human transmission. It was rhythmic, almost musical, but structured in a way that suggested intelligence. She frowned. "Ravi, can you trace it?" Ravi's fingers danced across the console. "It's not human. The frequency is shifting like it's alive. I think someone is trying to communicate." Mara's pulse quickened. For decades, humans had believed they were alone in this sector, unaware that the Velari, an ancient, wise race, once ruled these stars. They had left behind only relics and warnings, long dismissed as myth. Could this signal be from them? The following night, Mara followed the signal to a small, derelict asteroid station far from human colonies. Docking her research shuttle, she entered cautiously. There, bathed in the dim glow of the fading sun, stood Leora, the Velari envoy. Leora's presence was ethereal. Her skin shimmered faintly, reflecting light and colors Mara had never seen. Her eyes glowed softly, bright and intelligent, carrying centuries of knowledge and sorrow. "You have come," Leora said, her voice melodic but firm. "I have been waiting for one who listens." Mara stepped forward, awed. You're real. The Velari? I thought your people were gone." "They are," Leora said, her eyes distant, all because they ignored the warnings. Their suns went dark. Planets froze. Entire civilizations ended. I survived to watch and learn. And now to warn you. Mara's stomach tightened. "Warn us? Humans don't listen. The Council dismissed my reports. They don't believe the stars can react to us." Leora's gaze hardened. "They did not listen because they did not want to. The same pride destroyed my people. You have seen the first signs already. A sun dimmed in your sector today. If you do nothing, even your twin suns may go dark." Back on Elisera, panic began to creep among the population. Minor power fluctuations caused by the dimming stars affected communication satellites and energy grids. Crops in high-tech hydrofarms showed slow, stunted growth. The first whispers of the dying sun spread like wildfire. Mara and Leora worked together in secrecy. Leora explained the Velari understanding of stellar balance. "Stars are not just balls of gas," she said. "They are alive in a sense. They respond to energy flows, planetary activity, and the balance of civilizations. Overuse, greed, and reckless energy manipulation create strain. The more humans expand, the more unstable the stars become." Mara listened, amazed. "So the stars themselves react to us?" "Yes," Leora confirmed. "And it spreads faster than you realize. One star dims, and its neighbors feel the imbalance. It is a chain reaction." Days passed, and Mara's warnings began to manifest. The colony of Aurelia, a key trade hub, experienced a partial blackout. Streetlights flickered. Satellites went offline. People felt the temperature drop slightly and panic grew. News feeds were filled with reports of unexplained solar flickers, and for the first time the population began to realize that something larger than humanity was at play. Counselor Vorin tried to calm the people. "These are minor fluctuations. Nothing to worry about. Technology will fix it." But Mara knew it was too late. Technology alone could not restore a sun that was beginning to react to imbalance. Ravi watched the news in disbelief. "They still don't understand. They'll ignore the real problem until it's too late." Mara clenched her fists. "We have to act. If we wait for them to believe, we'll lose everything." Mara and Leora decided to visit the Aurelia colony in secret. They needed first-hand data, and they needed to begin educating humans about cosmic balance before panic turned into chaos. Traveling in a small shuttle, they approached the planet as its suns flickered, casting long shadows over the cities below. People were already gathering in public squares, pointing at the sky. Rumors spread of dying stars, strange shadows, and failing technology. Mara stepped out of the shuttle and addressed a small crowd of scientists and engineers who were willing to listen. "My name is Mara Keen," she began, her voice steady. "I've come to warn you that what you see is real. The stars are not infinite. They respond to how we treat our worlds, our energy, and our systems. Ignoring this could destroy entire star clusters. Even the suns that give us light now could go dark." Some people laughed nervously. Others stared in disbelief. One man shouted, "You're trying to scare us. Humans control our systems." "Stars obey us!" Mara shook her head. "Stars do not obey. They respond. And we have already upset the balance. If we continue this way, We will face consequences far beyond technology or engineering. We could lose our homes, our colonies, our sons themselves. Meanwhile, Leora worked quietly, projecting holographic images of extinct Villari systems. "These were my people," she said softly. We ignored the warnings. Entire star clusters went dark. Planets froze. Civilizations perished. I am the only one left to teach humanity the price of pride. A young engineer stepped forward, his eyes wide. "If what you say is true, what can we do?" Leora's voice was firm. "You must learn balance. You must reduce reckless energy use, restore planets, and respect the limits of your technology. Some stars can be saved, some cannot. It is not too late. But the longer you wait, the fewer survive." Mara added, "We cannot convince the Council yet, but we can start here with those who are willing. We can show humanity that there is a way to survive if we act together." That night, Mara stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns were flickering faintly. People below went about their routines, unaware of the danger. She felt a chill despite the sun's warmth. Ravi joined her. "Do you really think anyone will listen?" he asked quietly. Mara stared into the dimming suns. "Some will," she said. "Not all, but enough. Humanity has pride, yes, but it also has the power to learn, to adapt, to rise. If we can reach enough people, we can change the future," Ravi shivered. "But what about the suns that have already dimmed?" Mara's eyes were steady. "Some are lost, but others can shine again if we act now. We may not be able to save every system, but we can save enough. That is what we must do." The first step was education and action. Mara and Leora began teaching the colony's scientists about stellar ecosystems, explaining how energy extraction, planetary manipulation, and industrial expansion affected the stars. Slowly, a small group began to understand, to see the signs that Mara had warned about for years. But not everyone listened. Many dismissed the warnings as exaggeration. Others feared that changing systems would slow production and profits. Mara realized that convincing humanity would not be easy. They would have to act against pride, against greed, and against fear. And as the suns continued to flicker, the first true test of humanity's wisdom had begun. The Aurelia colony had changed in just a few weeks. What had begun as curiosity now teetered on fear. Citizens whispered about dying suns, strange shadows across the cities, and subtle drops in temperature. Power fluctuations became normal. Communication satellites failed. Even the most advanced artificial light struggled to compensate for the flickering stars. Humanity was beginning to understand that Mara Keen's warnings were real. Mara and Leora moved tirelessly among the colonies, teaching scientists and engineers how to observe the stars, how to calculate the effects of energy overuse, and how planetary systems interacted with the life of a sun. Slowly, some began to grasp the consequences of humanity's actions. Yet even with knowledge spreading, progress was slow. Many refused to accept responsibility. Councillor Voran dismissed warnings as exaggerated. The majority continued industrial operations at full capacity, blind to the invisible chain reaction growing across their sector. Meanwhile, Mara observed new anomalies. In the Villara system, a secondary sun's brightness had diminished for several hours, then returned briefly before fading again. The pattern was accelerating. Ravi looked at her gravely. "It's spreading faster than we thought. The chain reaction is real." "Yes," Mara said, "and it won't stop on its own. Humanity's habits have triggered something the universe is responding to. The only way to stabilize the stars is to reduce the energy strain and restore balance. But the Council refuses to act." "We can't force them," Ravi said quietly. "People will resist." "We will lead by example," Mara replied. "Those who are willing can start saving their worlds. Others, they will face the consequences." Leora guided Mara to a remote sector outside human-occupied space, where remnants of Violari technology lay dormant. The station was enormous, half buried in asteroid rock with glowing conduits pulsing faintly. "This technology can help," Leora explained. "We can stabilize a star if we work together. Human ingenuity and Violari knowledge combined. But it is not simple. Each system requires precision and there is risk. A single mistake could accelerate the collapse instead of slowing it." Mara nodded. "We'll have to try. For every system we can save, more people will survive, and we'll learn how to approach the others." Back in the colonies, panic began to mount. People felt the effects of dying suns in subtle ways. Plants in greenhouses slowed their growth. Solar panels produced inconsistent energy, and temperatures dropped slightly each day. Merchants spread rumors of failing stars, causing confusion and fear. Some saw this as an opportunity. Radical factions exploited the fear, claiming that the stars' flickering was punishment from the universe or that it was a sign of humans losing control over the cosmos. Violence was minimal for now, but tension hung in the air like static. Mara knew that convincing. Humanity would require more than teaching and warnings. It would require action that showed the possibility of restoration. The first test was a small system near Aurelia. Using Velari technology, Mara, Leora, and a team of engineers carefully redirected energy flows from depleted planetary systems back into the sun, stabilizing its core. The effect was subtle at first. The sun glimmered a little brighter, the satellites regained partial power, and minor weather patterns began returning to normal. The people who witnessed it were amazed. "It worked," one engineer whispered, eyes wide. "We actually saved a sun." Mara smiled, though the relief was brief. "This is only one sun. The chain reaction continues in other systems, and some may be beyond saving," Ravi added. "But this proves we can do it. If we act quickly, maybe we can stabilize enough stars to prevent catastrophe." Leora's expression was serious. "Yes, but we must act carefully. Stars are not forgiving. Every intervention carries risk. One wrong move could ignite instability." As the team worked, Mara received a troubling report. In the Velara cluster, a secondary sun had dimmed sharply, plunging one colony into near darkness. Communication satellites failed completely. Panic spread and food supplies began to falter due to energy shortages. Mara's heart sank. "This is happening faster than I feared. We need more teams. We need more people to understand, to act." Ravi looked determined. "Then we'll teach them. Even if the council refuses, we can train volunteers, engineers, and scientists to stabilize as many systems as possible. Humanity can learn, if they want to." Mara nodded. "Yes, humanity can rise to the challenge, but only if we show them the way." Meanwhile, Leora observed Mara carefully. "Humans are strong, resourceful. But you have pride. You fight even when the odds seem impossible. That is why you can succeed. But you must guide your people carefully. Many will resist. Fear will make some act against reason. You will face obstacles not from the stars but from yourselves." Mara nodded. "I know, but we cannot wait for everyone to agree. We start with those who are willing. Others will have to see the consequences for themselves." The next day, Mara and Leora visited Aurelia's main spaceport to demonstrate the Velari stabilization technology. The public demonstration was tense. Engineers activated the device and the sun's core pulses synchronized with the flow of planetary energy. Slowly, the light stabilized. Shadows receded. Power grids returned to normal. A crowd of citizens watched in awe. Some cheered. Some cried. Many simply stared, realizing that the danger Mara had warned about was real and that humans had the power to respond. Counselor Vorin arrived at the demonstration, flanked by security and aides. He watched the stabilization process, his expression unreadable. When it finished, he asked, How did you do this?" Mara stepped forward. "By understanding the stars, their balance, and respecting their limits. Humans can control technology, yes, but the stars respond to life, energy, and the actions of civilizations. Ignorance and greed upset the balance. Cooperation and care can restore it." Vorin frowned but remained silent. He could not deny the evidence before him. For the first time, a human leader witnessed the consequences of their actions and the potential for salvation, but acceptance would take more time. That night, Mara and Leora returned to the remote Velari station. The success at Aurelia brought hope, but it also reminded them of the vast scale of the problem. Multiple systems were still unstable, some nearing complete collapse. "We've slowed the chain reaction in one system," Mara said. "But the others, they're still dimming. Some may be lost before we reach them." Leora nodded solemnly. "Yes, some cannot be saved, but enough can. Humanity has the chance to rise, to learn, to become responsible stewards of the stars. That is why you are important, Marakeen. You can show them the way." Ravi joined them. "Then we begin immediately. We can form teams, travel to neighboring systems, and stabilize as many suns as possible. Every success inspires hope, every failure teaches a lesson." Mara smiled faintly. Yes, humanity will awaken to the reality of the universe, and we will survive because we adapt, because we learn, and because we rise to the challenge. We cannot save all, but we can save enough. As they worked, Mara often looked at the night sky. Some stars flickered, dimmed, or disappeared completely. Others shone brighter after stabilization. The pattern was terrifying, beautiful, and humbling all at once. Mara realized that this was a test, not just of technology, but of humanity itself. Pride, greed, and ignorance had caused the crisis. Wisdom, cooperation, and courage could restore balance. Ravi spoke quietly one evening. "Do you think humans are ready?" "Even with your guidance?" Mara looked at the stars, glimmering softly against the dark void. "Some are ready. Many will learn, others, they will only understand when it's too late. But even if only a fraction survives and learns the truth, it will be enough. Humanity can rise, if it chooses to." Leora placed her glowing hand on Mara's shoulder. "Then we continue. The awakening has begun, and soon humanity will understand that the stars are alive, that they respond, and that every choice matters." The twin suns of Elisara burned in the sky above, dimming slightly at the horizon, but for now they held steady. The chain reaction was spreading, but hope had been kindled. Humanity's awakening had begun, and for the first time Mara believed that they could survive the silence that had already claimed so many worlds. The dimming suns of the Aurelia system no longer flickered only at night. Their instability had begun affecting the day, casting strange shadows over the cities. Factories slowed production as energy grids failed intermittently. Communication satellites were offline, forcing colonies to rely on old methods of messaging. Panic was rising. Dr. Mara Keene watched the chaos from the Orion research station, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders. For weeks, she had worked tirelessly with Leora and their growing team of volunteers, stabilizing one star after another, yet the chain reaction continued. "We can't reach them all in time," Ravi said, his voice tense. "Some systems are deteriorating faster than we can stabilize them." Mara's hands rested on the console, her eyes fixed on the star charts. "Then we prioritize. Systems critical to human survival first, then the rest. Every system we save means lives, even if we can't save every sun." Leora floated beside her, her soft glow reflecting off the console. Some humans still refuse to understand. Fear and pride blind them. The stars respond not just to energy usage, but also to intention. Reckless actions now could undo what we've done. In the Aurelia colony, the human council remained divided. Councillor Vorin, shaken by the earlier stabilization success, still hesitated to take full action. Others, however, began realizing that the crisis could no longer be ignored. Some citizens demanded immediate reduction of industrial activity and energy consumption. Tensions boiled over when a secondary sun in the Valara system dimmed sharply. Entire cities were plunged into temporary darkness. People panicked, abandoning streets and rushing to shelters. Power grids overloaded and minor accidents occurred. News broadcasts described the phenomenon, emphasizing the unknown cause, but many citizens suspected Mara's warnings were real. In the chaos, radical factions grew bolder, spreading fear and misinformation. They claimed that humans were being punished by the universe, that the flickering suns were a sign of divine judgment. Mara knew that controlling the narrative was as important as stabilizing the stars themselves. Determined to act, Mara and Leora led a team to a system where the main sun was dangerously dimming. Their shuttle cut through the darkness lit faintly by distant stars. Mara checked the stabilization equipment. The Vailari technology was precise but delicate. Any miscalculation could trigger further instability. "This is the moment," Leora said. "If we fail, the chain reaction will accelerate. Many systems may follow." Ravi adjusted the calibration. "We're ready. Let's hope humanity is learning fast enough to support us." The team activated the stabilizer. Energy began flowing from the outer planets back into the sun's core. The light pulsed as the sun fought to regain equilibrium. Shadows stretched and shrank. Cities below bathed in alternating flickers of brightness. For a tense moment, it seemed the stabilization might fail. Then slowly, the sun's glow strengthened. Communication grids returned. Temperature normalized. People in the system looked up at the sky, awe and relief washing over them. "It worked," Mara whispered. "For now," but Leora's expression remained serious. "It is not permanent. Only when humans learn balance across all systems will the stars remain stable." Back on Elisara, The success of the stabilization sparked hope. Volunteers and engineers began training in larger numbers. Teams were formed to travel to neighboring systems. Every victory inspired more people to take action, but the resistance remained. Some humans refused to reduce energy consumption or halt expansion, believing survival depended solely on technology and industry. Mara knew that time was running out. Each sun that dimmed could trigger another, spreading the silent darkness further. Ravi reported a troubling update. The Aurelia colony is safe, but the secondary sun in the nearby Tarlin system is flickering again. Its energy core is unstable. If we don't reach it soon, it could collapse completely. Mara frowned. Then we move immediately. There's no time to waste. The mission to Tarlin was perilous. The system's sun flickered unpredictably, and gravitational anomalies made navigation difficult. Mara's team worked with precision, coordinating stabilizers and energy conduits, but as they approached the star, a sudden surge of energy from the sun threatened to overload the equipment. "Adjust the energy flow," Mara shouted, her voice cutting through the tense silence. Ravi worked furiously at the controls. Leora guided them with calm precision, her knowledge of stellar behavior invaluable. Slowly, the sun's pulses began to stabilize. Below, the colonies witnessed the sun returning to near-normal brightness. Streets filled with cheers and relief, yet Mara and Leora knew that the battle was far from over. "The chain reaction is spreading too fast," Mara said, her voice heavy. "We can stabilize individual systems, but if humanity doesn't act collectively, more suns will fall." Leora nodded. "It is time to confront the Council directly. The message must come from leadership, not just from volunteers. Humanity must understand that this is not just a threat. It is a responsibility." Mara prepared a presentation for the Council. She compiled data from every stabilized system, every sun that had dimmed and every system still at risk. The evidence was irrefutable. Human activity had triggered a cosmic imbalance. Some suns could be saved, but only if actions were taken immediately. Councillor Vorin watched silently as Mara spoke. Others murmured among themselves, some finally understanding the gravity of the situation. "If we do not act," Mara concluded, "even your own suns may go dark. The universe responds to imbalance. We can stabilize the stars and survive, but only if humanity acts together and with respect for the cosmic balance." The Council was silent. For the first time, the weight of the star's reaction could not be dismissed. Fear and understanding mingled in the room. Decisions had to be made. While the Council debated, Mara and Leora traveled to a distant system where a sun had dimmed significantly. Unlike Aurelia or Tarlin, this sun's energy core was on the verge of collapse. Stabilization here required absolute precision and coordination. The team worked tirelessly. Mara coordinated planetary energy redistribution, while Leora monitored the sun's response. Sparks flew from overloaded equipment, and the shuttle shuddered under gravitational anomalies. Time seemed to stretch as every pulse of the sun held life or death for the colonies below. "Almost there," Mara muttered, sweat on her brow. "Steady, steady." Finally, the sun's glow began to stabilize. Light returned to the planets below, and energy grids came online. The team exhaled in relief. Another sun had been saved, and with it millions of lives. But as Mara watched the other stars in the sky, her heart sank. Many still flickered, many still dimmed, and some would not survive. Humanity's pride and greed had started a chain reaction that would take every ounce of effort and wisdom to stop. That evening, Mara reflected on the events. Some systems were safe, but others were lost or beyond saving. Humanity had begun to awaken to the reality of the universe, yet resistance remained. Fear and pride could undo everything they had achieved. Ravi joined her on the observation deck. "Do you think humanity can really change?" he asked quietly. Mara gazed at the stars, dimming and brightening in the distance. "Some will. Enough will. Humanity has always survived when it learned, adapted, and rose to challenges greater than itself. But we must act now. Every delay risks another sun, another system, another life." Leora's glowing hand rested on Mara's shoulder. "The reckoning has begun. Humanity must choose between pride and wisdom, destruction and survival. We have shown the way. The rest is up to them." As the twin suns of Elisara dipped below the horizon, their glow faint but steady, Mara realized the truth. The universe was testing humanity. The chain reaction had begun, and only collective action, courage, and wisdom could save the stars from silence. And for the first time, she felt a deep sense of hope. Humanity could rise. Humanity could learn. Humanity could survive, but only if they chose to act before the next sun went dark. The cosmos seemed quieter than it had in centuries. From the observation deck of the Orion research station, Dr. Mara Keene gazed at the cluster of stars that had once flickered dangerously. Some were bright and steady, their light restored by the combined efforts of humanity and Valerie knowledge. Others remained dim, shadows of what they had been before humanity's reckless expansion. It had been months since the chain reaction began. Humanity had faced panic, fear, and chaos. Entire colonies had struggled to survive under the flickering suns. But for the first time there was hope. Teams of engineers and volunteers trained by Mara and Leora had stabilized key systems, demonstrating that careful action could restore life to the stars. Ravi approached her quietly. "Do you think we've done enough?" he asked, eyes scanning the stars. Mara shook her head slowly. "Not yet, but we've done enough to prove that humanity can change, that we can learn, that we can adapt. The rest will depend on what humans choose to do next." The Council of Aurelia had finally convened a full emergency session. Councillor Vorin, once skeptical, now stood among the members with a grave expression. The evidence was undeniable. Stars were alive in a sense, responding to the actions of civilizations. Humanity's pride and greed had triggered instability, but it had also shown the capacity for responsibility and recovery. Mara presented a plan for long-term stabilization. It included reducing reckless energy consumption, monitoring star systems continuously, and training future generations to respect the cosmic balance. Some council members resisted, fearing economic loss or reduced expansion. Others embraced the plan, realizing that survival outweighed profit. For the first time in history, the human colonies faced the reality that technology alone could not conquer the universe. They had to cooperate with it. In the Aurelia colony, the citizens slowly adjusted. Factories reduced energy output. Mining operations were limited to sustainable levels. Engineers and scientists began programs to restore planets drained by previous overuse. Schools added courses on stellar ecology, teaching children how the universe responded to energy and life. The stabilization of one system inspired others. News spread to distant colonies. Humanity could save a sun, could restore balance, could survive, but only if they acted wisely. Fear and hope mixed in the hearts of the people. Mara and Leora traveled to systems still at risk. The work was painstaking, requiring careful coordination and precise adjustments. Some suns responded immediately, growing brighter with steady pulses. Others resisted, flickering despite their efforts. A few could not be saved, their colonies forced to evacuate or adapt to dim, unstable light. One evening, Mara floated in the observation chamber of a remote Vailari station. The twin suns of Elisara glowed steadily, their light comforting after weeks of tension. Leora approached silently. "You have done well," Leora said softly. "Humanity has begun to awaken to responsibility. Many will fail to understand, yes. Some systems will be lost, but enough will survive, and that is what matters." Mara nodded. "It feels strange. We've saved some suns, yes, but others, we could not reach them in time. The loss is heavy." Leora's eyes glowed faintly. "Loss is part of existence. But from it humans will learn. Survival is not perfection, it is adaptation. Those who live will teach others. Humanity can rise again stronger than before." In the Valara cluster, the once dim secondary sun had stabilized after weeks of careful intervention. Cities below celebrated cautiously. Power grids ran smoothly. Children played under the restored light, unaware of the near catastrophe that had threatened their homes. Mara stood among the engineers, watching as energy flowed steadily across the planets. "We did it," she whispered. "For this system, at least." An engineer laughed softly. "We've done more than we thought possible. Humanity can rise to the challenge after all." Mara smiled, feeling a deep sense of relief, but her eyes remained on the distant stars. Some still flickered. Some remained silent. The universe had tested humanity, and while many stars survived, the memory of those lost would remain as a reminder. Across human space, the changes were evident. Colonies that had resisted slowing production now implemented sustainable energy measures. Cities once obsessed with expansion now valued harmony with planetary and stellar ecosystems. Trade continued, but with respect for natural limits. Humanity had learned that the universe was not a resource to be exploited. It was a partner, a living system that demanded care and balance. Mara watched ships leaving for distant colonies, carrying knowledge, technology, and guidance. Humanity had learned the hard way, but the lesson had been learned. Pride, greed, and ignorance could no longer dictate the fate of civilizations. The final test came when Mara and Leora visited the Aurelia system's main sun. Though stable for weeks, faint flickers remained at its edges, reminders of the fragility of life. The stabilization device hummed steadily, energy flowing from the planets back into the sun's core. Slowly, the light returned fully, shining brighter than it had in years. Citizens watched in awe. Some knelt in reverence to the stars. Others simply stared, tears in their eyes. Mara felt a quiet pride. Humanity had faced its reckoning and survived. Leora's voice broke the silence. The stars are alive. They respond to balance. Humanity has survived because it learned to listen, to respect, and to act. This is the path forward, Mara nodded. Yes, the universe is not a threat, it is a teacher, and we have finally begun to understand its lessons. As the days passed, humanity began to rebuild. The stars that had dimmed were remembered, not forgotten, as symbols of pride and consequence. New colonies prioritized harmony with stellar ecosystems. Vylari technology and human innovation combined to monitor and stabilize star systems continuously. Mara often walked among the citizens, teaching and observing. She saw curiosity replace fear, cooperation replace division, and wisdom slowly taking root. Humanity had survived a test that had destroyed countless civilizations before them. One evening, she stood on a balcony overlooking Elisara. The twin suns glowed warmly, steady and reassuring. The night sky beyond was dotted with stars, some dimmed forever, some shining brighter than ever. Mara felt hope in her chest. Humanity had been reckless, yes, but it had also risen. It had learned. It had survived. Ravi joined her, smiling. We did it. The stars, they shine again, Mara nodded. Some, yes. And we've learned that survival depends not just on strength, but on wisdom, humility, and cooperation. Humanity has the chance to thrive if we continue to remember that. Leora appeared beside them, her glow soft and comforting. The lessons will be passed down. Humanity will rise, and the stars will remember that it was worth saving. Mara looked at the horizon, the suns glowing above the cities. It's only the beginning. But it is a beginning filled with hope. Humanity has survived the silence, and now it can shine. And for the first time in months, Mara felt a peace she had not known. The universe was alive, the stars were bright, and humanity had finally learned to listen. The warnings had been heeded in time. The chain reaction slowed, and life would continue, stronger, wiser, and more united than ever. The suns of Elisara burned steadily, and for the first time, the silence of the universe was replaced with light, warmth, and the promise of renewal.